Okay, yesterday we left off, sir. Yesterday we left off in the Melacha Beirer. So we're discussing that in order to do permissible Beirer, which is selection or removal, the different opinions, we learned it has to be three things. Number one, you have to take away the good from the bad. Secondly, you cannot use it with the utensil which is designated for separation. And thirdly, it has to be for immediate use. Now, we're going to discuss each one of these. Now, again, we learned yesterday that the definition of pselis, bad, okay, is not necessarily bad. What you don't want is called bad. What you want is good. Okay, so therefore, let's say you have a mixture of food, or like somebody gave a good mashal yesterday of a salad, and you don't like tomatoes, and the tomatoes are all in the salad, and you don't want to eat tomatoes, you're not allowed to take out the tomatoes from the salad, even right before eating, even with your hand, and not even a vessel designated. Why? Because you're removing the bad from the good. Unless, the only way that would be allowed is if somebody else is right there that wants tomatoes, and then you can, put it on their plate, so then you're separating for them. It doesn't matter you or them, but you're separating for them, so you're separating good from bad. Now, when you say the second category has to be done biyad with your hand, it doesn't mean you have to use your hands. You can use a fork or a spoon or something, but the concept is you're doing the separation. Really, you could do it by hand. It's just easier, no, leave it. You can do it by your hand. You're just doing it because you don't want to get your hands dirty. It's something else. As long as it's not a vessel, a utensil, which is made, designated for separation. And the third part is it has to be done right away. Now, what does right away mean? So there are poskim that hold if it's within an hour, it's called right away. The Alter Rebbe in Shulchan Aruch doesn't say that. The Alter Rebbe holds that it has to be samach l'su'uda mamish right before the meal. So he says, like after you come home from shul, okay, you're about to get the preparation for the meal, that is called samach, that is called right before the meal. Now, even though the meal might take 4 hours, and what you're selecting at the beginning of the meal is for the dessert at the end of the meal, let's say, it's still allowed. That's called miyad, because miyad means right before that meal. But we learned yesterday you cannot select even good from bad if it's not right before the meal. Like you can't select Friday night for Shabbos morning. And I'll give you a number of examples with this. What happens, your wife wants to sleep in Shabbos morning, and she wants you to dress the kids, okay? So Friday night, before the kids go to bed, you go into the girl's closet, and you're going to pick out a dress for her for Shabbos morning. Now there's a whole bunch of dresses there. Now you're actually, even in English, it's called, you are selecting a dress, you're picking a dress. Granted, that's what you want. The problem is, it's for tomorrow morning. So that would definitely be a shaila of Beirer. Or I'll give you another example. Somebody, let's say they have kids sleeping in a room, okay? And they need to safer from the room. So let's say there's a bunch of gemaras in the room, okay? And now he wants you to, Shabbos morning, he wants to learn Gemara Shabbos, okay? So he can't go into the room Friday, Shabbos morning, the kids are sleeping. So what does he do? Friday night, he's going to take out a Gemara Shabbos and put it down for Shabbos morning. That you're not allowed to do. Because the Gemara you want is good. The other Gemaras that you don't want right now, again, in the din of Beirer, is called bad. It doesn't matter, but they're all together. Now, if the Sfarim be separated, If the svarim would be separated like this, I want to pick this up and put it away for Shabbos morning. I'm not selecting anything. But if there's a bunch of svarim, it's clearly in halacha, if there's a bunch of svarim in a bookcase, one next to each other, okay, and you're picking one from the next, it's called selecting. It's not so simple. What? Oh, so what should you do in that case? You're right. So what should you do in that case? If you take out the Gemara at night and you learn a line or two of the Gemara, so then you're using it now for immediate use, then you can put it down and it's good for Shabbos morning. I don't think you'll be able to do that with your kids, with your little girl's dress. That might be, it might be a technical issue, but otherwise, now, as we learn, again, I'm just saying general rules because we're going to learn more. What happens if somebody has a drawer full of socks and they're all the same black socks? Huh? Okay, very good, thank you. So now you have, now you want to take one black sock from another black sock. That's not a problem. That you could do even not for immediate use. Why? Because it's all the same. Selecting is when you're separating one thing from something different. And by the way, we'll learn, you'll be surprised what separate and same thing is. Like white meat and dark meat is separate. I'm just saying, what? But again, because it's the same type, the same exact thing, so then it's not called better. You can even do it for tomorrow. That's not a problem. But if it's different color dresses or different, now you have all white shirts, okay? And you pick a white shirt, that's not selection because they're all the same. What?
What if it was dedicated for Shabbat?
The what?
What if you do pick up a shirt or a sock that is dedicated for Shabbat?
So again, you should.
What you wanted to pick up.
No, but then if it's different because it's a fancier shirt, so then it is different. Then you are selecting again. So it should either be done before Shabbos, or just separate it before Shabbos, push away the things and leave it there, or what?
You know, like a lot of farts.
A lot of?
Farts. Can you take one for Negelwasser? It's not immediate use, but you need to put it there.
It is immediate use because right now you're filling it up. You want to fill it up. So right now, that's what you want. You want to fill up the Negelwasser pitcher. What?
If you separate, let's say, go back to the salad. If you separate the tomato from the salad, can you give it to the goy?
You mean you're separating to give it to the guy? If the guy is present.
If the person is...
If the guy is there. Let's say you have a housekeeper, okay? And you're going to separate the tomatoes to give it to them right away, even though they might not eat it right away, but you're doing it right, and you're giving them the food. So yeah, then you would be allowed to do it. Yeah. I mean, again, it's not Kabbalah, it's just very simple. What you want is good, what you don't want is bad. You're not allowed to separate good from bad. Now, a lot of time...
Can you ask the boy to grab that Gemara for tomorrow?
And what's the guy going to do with it?
No, for you. Like, he's doing the actual act.
If you're not allowed to do it, you can't ask a guy to do it for you.
What if you don't care which volume it is? Just randomly.
What do you mean you're picking the...
I'm going to read something.
That's fine.
No, because... One sec. You're almost like him. You're too complicated for me. You're getting students. Too complicated for me. No, if you randomly pick a Gemara, you're still selecting a Gemara from others that you don't want for now. You want it for tomorrow. The easiest thing is you open, if it's a chumah, whatever, it's safe. You open it up, you read a line or two, so then you're using it immediate use, and that's it. Yes, sir. Yeah, that's what he asked, but you're still selecting one from the others. That's called selecting good, because that's what you want. It doesn't matter if it's random or not. The one you're picking is the one you want. And then the bottom line is you're not doing it for immediate use. You're doing it for tomorrow.
Close your eye and you close your bottom close, you close your eye, whatever comes to, is that selecting?
That's selecting. You're selecting a Gemara. Why is that so difficult to understand?
Pick one without indiscriminately. You don't look which one I'm picking. You know it's one of them will come in your hand. You just close your eye and you close.
When you have raffle tickets in a container. When you have raffle tickets in a container, okay? Now, you want to pick a raffle. Forget Shabbos. You want to pick a raffle ticket. Do you know what you're picking? You're picking randomly? Are you selecting a raffle ticket from the others? So if Shabbos in Shulchan Aruch says you're not allowed to make a raffle, but that's a separate issue. But what happens if, let's say, you would be allowed to make a raffle? Let's say you would be allowed to make a raffle. In Shulchan Aruch says you're not allowed to. The Alter Rebbe doesn't bring it down, it's missing out of Shulchan Aruch, but you're not allowed to. So what happens, okay, these are raffle tickets, yeah? I go like this to make a raffle, so right now this is what I want. This is the one I want. Okay, so that wouldn't be a problem if you'd be allowed to do raffles on Shabbos. But the bottom line is, this is selection. It doesn't matter if it's random selecting, what's the difference? What? What?
I'm a little confused about something about order.
If you're a little confused, you're okay.
I understand it's taking the good from the bad from the good.
You're allowed to take good from bad, meaning what you want from what you don't want, but only for immediate use. So you can't do it for tomorrow morning, you can't do it for later in the afternoon, you can't do that.
Oh, so going back to the books of wine, in the morning you get out, and you go where the books are, and you close your eye, you reach out.
If you wake up in the morning and take a book, that's fine if you want it in the morning. If you want it for the afternoon, then you can't. It's not deep. What? For immediate use, you can take good from bad. Okay. Now, what happens if you have, let's say, in a cholent, yeah? So you have, let's say, a potato is resting on top of the others. Okay? So then you're allowed to take with a fork and take out the potato. Because you're not selecting, it's not mixed together that you're selecting. If it's a salad where everything is mixed together, yeah. Or a chont where everything is mixed together. But if it's laying one on top of the other, then it's not even if it's not for immediate use, because it's not selecting, it's just
Instead of books that wind up next to each other, it's also not on top. You're not moving books away.
no, it's
Find
still
what you want.
there. So even in English, the expression is, I'm selecting a book.
Not anymore.
No, because nobody reads books anymore. How can nobody reads books? They can't select a book. But we'll learn that if I'll give you an example. We're jumping too many dinim of Berda. We have to take Berda. It's going to take not as long as Bishul, but it's going to take long. For instance, according to many opinions, let's say you have a matzah bowl in the soup. Okay, you have soup, chicken soup, and you have a matzah bowl in the soup. Yeah, and now you don't want the matzah bowl. So according to many opinions, including the Alter Rebbe also, I can technically with a spoon, because it's so noticeable, it's not mixed in the soup, it's very noticeable. So I can take it out, it's not buried, because it's very noticeable. By books, it's not so noticeable. You have to look, they're mamish next to each other. If they're not next to each other, it's not a problem.
Have different titles.
Huh?
Different titles.
Different titles of different books. So if you want one title, that's eichel, and what you don't, the title you don't want is pseilus.
But that's for immediate use, you eat it.
For immediate use, you could do it.
Otherwise, what would
You can't do it for tomorrow. I'll give you a simple example, okay? You have a shalom zachar, okay? So now you make, you have nuts, okay? So you have cashews and you have peanuts and raisins, whatever, the different things, yeah? And now you put them into a plate, okay? They're all mixed together in the plate for people to take. Now if they're separate containers, let's say you have a plate with multi-partitions, that's a different story. But what happens if they're all in one plate, okay? Now the guests leave. I want to put everything back into the containers. I want to put the raisins back into the raisin box, and the nuts, the cashews into this, and the peanuts into this. So now I'm selecting, and it's not for immediate use. I'm not eating it now. I'm going to eat it a week from now, whatever, whatever it is. So you wouldn't be allowed to do that. If somebody washes dishes, let's say we learned Friday night you can wash dishes for Shabbos morning. So yesterday we were discussing about setting a table. What happens if you're not setting the table? I'm washing a bunch of dishes, forks and spoons and knives together, yeah? And I'm drying them, but they're all together. Now I want to take them and separate the forks, the spoons, and the knives to put back into the drawer. So I'm not allowed to do that. But if let's say I have a bunch of wet cutlery in my hand, right? And with a towel. So now I dry the knife. So now I'm taking the knife for immediate use to dry it. That I'm doing now. Once the knife is in my hand, I could put it back into the drawer in the knife compartment because I'm not selecting. It's already selected, and I was allowed to select it because I wanted to dry it. And the same thing with the forks and the spoons. But let's say you have them all together and they're drip drying, and now you want to take it, and now they're all mixed together. And now you want to take it and set the table Shabbos morning. Friday night you want to set the table for Shabbos morning, for Shabbos afternoon, right? So then they're all mixed together. You can't select now Friday night for Shabbos morning because you're selecting good, but for tomorrow, not for now. So what you need to do, what halacha says you could do, take a big table and throw the cutlery over the table. You automatically become separated. And then you take each one because you're not selecting anymore. What, Mordechai?
Let's say you have a group of books on the shelf, and you're not going to take them all out, you just want to leave the carry over the books.
That's called wanting.
Was that?
That's called good. That's good.
Oh, you can do that.
What?
What's the gather in terms of size or length of separation in order for it to not be considered as better?
If they're not mixed together, they're not touching each other, they're not this, then it's not selecting.
So if there's a little air gap between my svarim, then it's not...
It's still called selecting. Svarim is a big shaila in halacha. They all talk about it. The selecting svarim Friday night for Shabbos day is an issue.
But at the same time, when we pour all the cutlery on the table, it's...
Yeah, so if you pour you throw out the svarim, yeah. I mean,
No, my point is it's very minimal space.
what you should do is if you take out a sefer, read a few lines, and then you put it back. At least you used it right now for what?
What's the source of the Torah for burying?
Burying is in the Mishkan. They used to, when they made the ketores, the incense, so they used to heat it up. So there was junk in it. So they had to remove the junk by the Samman.
So that's how we do it.
Yeah. Machet shin so meise mer maybe mein kim shvela gaut der begenan kashemet. Dat wir wochen sagt so in gebel ham ter mit shin amad.